Let's see if we are live here. Just need to double check on all systems. Come on, come on, come on. All right, we are live on Instagram, I believe. Yep, live on Instagram. Let's see if we are live on Facebook. We are live on Facebook. Okay, now let me double check one more time to see if we're live on my YouTube channel. Let me see here. I just want to double check to make sure that I am live here. Bear with me, folks, whoever is live streaming or watching later, which I will discuss here shortly. Let me just make sure that I'm live. I want to make sure that I'm live on YouTube. Perfect. Okay. I think I am live. Yes. Live on YouTube. Let me mute YouTube. Okay, cool. Cool. All right. What's going on, everyone? I am David Jeremiah. It is Monday, September 2nd. September 2nd, not 2nd. Monday, September 2nd, 2024, 5:04 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm currently in Tualatin, Oregon. I'm staying with my parents. I've been here for just over about 1 month, and I have 2 weeks left here. I fly back to Phoenix, Arizona for in 2 weeks from now on September 16th. I'll be in the Phoenix, Arizona area for about 2 months. I have my 20, I believe it's going to be my 21st assignment for house and pet sitting. And then I just heard back from the homeowners that I'll be house and pet sitting for in San Diego beginning in December. And I just got the confirmation dates about an hour ago. And I'll be going from Phoenix, Arizona area from middle September to the middle of November. I'll have the second half of November off, and then I go straight to San Diego, where I'll be there for pretty much all of December, all of January, and half of February. And then I am planning on retiring, officially retiring from house and pet sitting as a house and pet sitter, and going back to the Phoenix, Arizona area and planting my first flag and securing my first property there. I'll be home basing out of the East Valley, but I still will be traveling a bunch for work and visiting family and stuff like that. But anyways, today is day one of my 101 day challenge. This is my version of the 75 hard challenge. And the 75 hard challenge it was created by Andy Frisella, and he created it to be a mental toughness program. He didn't necessarily create it to be a health and fitness program, transformational program, but it was meant to be a mental toughness program. And the way he explained it was it's a Mount Everest for the mind. And so if he were to complete these tasks every single day for 75 days straight without missing anything, then you will be mentally tough. Like you will become a different person. You'll transform your mind and your thinking. Anyways, I decided to do my own version of that. I completed the 75 hard challenge on my 15th attempt. It took me about a year and a half to finally complete that. Anyways, today is also the second day of the new church year for the Orthodox Church. On September 1st of every single year, the new ecclesiastical church year begins for the Orthodox Church. So basically, it's the second day of the new year for Orthodox Christians. And I've been thinking about doing something for a long time. In fact, we're in the year 2014, obviously, but 10 years ago we're in the year 2024, but 10 years ago, in 2014, I was in my first year of grad school studying business. And I went there to learn how to become an entrepreneur, to acquire the skill sets that I believe were necessary. And I believed I had to go to business school to learn how to become an entrepreneur, to get qualified, to start my own business. I learned later that wasn't, you don't really need to go to business school at all, really, to be an entrepreneur. But Anyways, I went to business school to learn how to become an entrepreneur. I quickly learned in one of my classes that I was not going to learn that because I discovered that business schools were never designed to prepare anyone to to become an entrepreneur. They were designed to prepare and produce people to manage existing companies. Those are very different skill sets from entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is it takes a whole lot more skill sets that you're not going to learn from a traditional business program, and it's very different from managerial type skill sets. So, anyways, I developed a habit when I was in grad school when I realized that I wasn't going to get those skill sets of studying lives of the very successful entrepreneurs and business people of past and present. And in doing that, by reading autobiographies and biographies, I really got inspired because it's like better than a movie. You know what I mean? Like you're reading these people's lives that oftentimes you and I use their products or services, or we are directly impacted or even indirectly impacted by something that began in their own minds. So to me, that was so inspiring, and I thought, man, I love reading and listening to autobiographies and biographies, but I wish one of these very successful people would have documented their journey from the very beginning and showing their rags to riches story. You know, not, it's easy to talk about something once you've already achieved it. When you're sitting on a mountaintop and reflecting about, wow, you know, look at how far I've come. This is where I began, and all that stuff. It's very easy to talk, you know, kind of look back like that. But I think it takes more courage to share where you are right now, like where you're actually starting from before you have ascended the mountaintop. I find that it's much more exciting, it's much more engaging, when you're actually saying, hey, I'm just starting out, I'm just starting my journey, but that's where I'm going, that's the peak that I'm going to be trekking towards, that I'm hiking up this mountain towards. I know it seems crazy right now, but that's where I'm going. So, anyways, I remember thinking, man, I wish one of these very successful people like Elon Musk or Walt Disney or John Rockefeller, someone would have documented a journey from the beginning, not from an autobiographical point of view looking backwards, but like in real time. Because imagine how much more value that has when somebody who hasn't, or who maybe like imagine Elon Musk, he gets to that mountaintop, but he can show us like, hey, look at day one when I had nothing, like nothing but my vision of what I believe is possible, and what I saw in my mind. I saw this empire in my mind that nobody else saw but me. And most people thought I was crazy. And even though I was so driven and focused, most people thought I was crazy. Some people, even my, maybe some family and friends, maybe they thought they had my best interest in mind, and they even tried to convince me to not do this. They thought I was just crazy and delusional, and maybe I should just stop on my head. But look at all the things I've been able to accomplish over the past couple of years. To me, I thought that would be so cool if somebody did that. It took me about 10 years to finally realize, because my dream has always been to become a very successful entrepreneur and one of the greatest entrepreneurs and businessmen of all time. That's literally been one of my childhood dreams from as far back as I can remember, around 9 or 10 years old. And it took me about 10 years though, from the time I first had that idea in 2014 when I was in grad school, to realize that this year, very recently, within the past couple of weeks, I can be that man. And in fact, I am going to be that man. I will be the one that creates and documents my journey as I'm ascending to the top of the peaks, all the mountains I'm looking to conquer. And so, of course, I'm going to be talking a lot about entrepreneurship because I believe that moving forward, and no matter where you are in the world, especially if you live in America, if you live in a Western country where maybe working for another company for your whole life, 20, 30 years, and then retiring, like my parents and grandparents generation, that was the norm. That's not the norm now, and I don't think that will ever be the norm again. I could be wrong, but I just don't think that that's going to be the norm. What I think is going to be the norm is people are going to have to learn to be much more self-reliant, and they're going to have to be more entrepreneurial. You're going to have to learn how to make a living for yourself, and you're going to have to learn how to develop multiple streams of income. So if one dries up, you're not sitting there like without a lifeline. You have at least another one or multiple streams where if this stream dries up and you're not able to draw revenue in anymore to make a living for yourself, you're not going to end up on the street. You and your family are not going to starve to death. You're not going to be homeless because you've been working on this stream of income and this as well and this as well. So you've got multiple streams of income so that you're much more insulated and you're not having to rely on just one source, primary source of income that at any single moment, especially if you're an employee, that thing goes like that. What are you going to do now? It's very competitive to get to find jobs nowadays. And so I believe, and I believe this for many years, that people are going to have to learn how to develop entrepreneurship skills. You're going to have to learn how to think and to execute. It's not enough to just think. You have to actually execute on these ideas, and you have to learn how to navigate. And it's a way of taking ownership. It's a way of saying, you know what? Yeah, my parents and my grandparents, they all had these jobs that they worked at for 20, 30, 40 years and were able to retire. Doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do that. Now, one response to that reality, that's if that has not already become a reality for you, it will. I believe it will. Again, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I think the way the world is moving and moving very quickly with technology, with globalization, with competition, I just think that the way forward is you're going to have to learn how to take care of yourself. You cannot leave it up to trusting your livelihood with one employer or working for an employer. You're not going to be able, or even if it's working as an employee for multiple employers. Not and why would you do that when you can work for yourself? And when I talk to people throughout the years about, asking if they've ever, considered entrepreneurship, oftentimes people their first response is, yeah, but I kind of have, but I've never been to business school before. And it's like, great. Let me save you a couple years of your life, and let me save you tens of thousands of dollars. You're never going to learn how to be a business owner and entrepreneur going to business school, anyways. Literally, that is when people ask me, "Hey, was your MBA valuable?" I'm like, "Yeah, the most valuable thing that I learned throughout the entire 2-year MBA program was business schools are never designed to prepare and produce entrepreneurs. They're designed to prepare and produce managers to step into existing businesses to manage, not to take an idea from scratch and have a vision and then making it working tirelessly to make it a reality, because that is a whole different set of skill sets that you're not going to learn at a traditional business school. And um, so when I tell people that, I'm like, yeah, let me save you. I'd save you there. You're welcome. I just saved you 2 years of your life. I just saved you tens of thousands of dollars, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars if you were, trying to go for one of the top tier Ivy League schools or something like that. Are those MBA programs and traditional undergrad business programs valuable? Of course. As much as I believe that it's not necessary to go to a business school or any school for that matter to if you want to be an entrepreneur, unless your idea for a business is going to rely, you need some kind of formal accreditation or certification or something like that. That's one thing. But if you just want to start a coffee shop, you've always had this idea like, man, I always just wanted to just create a coffee shop or a restaurant or a clothing business, or I have this idea for an online website or whatever your business idea is. Unless it actually requires specific certifications and licensing and like degrees, you don't need to go to school to get the preparation you need to start and grow a business. You just don't. Folks, I've spent over 10 years. I've read hundreds of biographies and autobiographies. I've spent tens of thousands of hours studying the lives of very successful people that have started and built business empires. Most of them are uneducated. They don't come from, like they don't have all these, super high fancy degrees. A lot of them started with nothing, and they just had that idea and they had the courage to execute on that idea. And they had the courage to make the sacrifices that were necessary in order to eventually realize their vision in the world. So anyways, the reason why I'm talking about all this is because, like as I mentioned, I believe, in fact, I know, and I believe that I am the man to become who I wished 10 years ago somebody would have become or would have done. And that is documenting their journey from the beginning. not from on the mountaintop, and not even from halfway up the mountain. Or I'm like, hey, I started this business, a year ago, and look where I am now. I had this vision. It's like, no, I want to document it from ground zero. I've got nothing in the bank account, like literally. Like I have a vision for where I see myself going, and what I see must be built by me. And then as I go out and I pitch the vision and I start recruiting people that believe what I believe and they want to be a part of it, I have the vision. To date, I've not made one penny because I've not even executed yet. I just started recently within the past couple of weeks deciding that I have to do this. So the vision I'm building is an educational platform that teaches what I call the fundamental skills, the fundamental life skills in order to navigate life in the modern world. These are skill sets that should have been taught for decades in every single educational program, from preschool to kindergarten to K to 12 to college. They should have been mandatory, in my opinion. What skills am I talking about? I'm talking about literally the fundamentals. When I talk about the fundamental skills to navigate life successfully in the modern world, that's literally what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, do you even know what purpose is? Do you even know who you are? Have you spent deep time? Do you know how to even sit and think and contemplate? We're so inundated by technology nowadays. It's constantly blasted with things, constantly being marketed to and advertised. I've studied business and I've studied people that built businesses, that built empires. And so I know why and how they built all these different their products and services that we're all still influenced by in the modern world. We are so heavily saturated every single day, especially because if we have a smart device, if we have a laptop, we have a computer, we have a TV, if we're not living in a rural country, if we're actually in a city or a suburb, we're seeing advertisements, we're seeing all this stuff constantly bombarding us, and it's just constantly hitting us. And so we don't really, unless we already have the discipline and already practices, we don't really spend time anymore as human beings, no matter where we are in the world, to really contemplate, to think about the deeper things in life. It's so easy for us to just get kind of caught up in the flow of life, and not even like the routine that years fly by. I'll give you an example. My family, my mom's family, from my grandmother's side, we just had we had a family reunion this past weekend, and it was amazing. I was able to see family that I've not seen since the last reunion, which was 10 years ago in 2014. That's insane. And so a lot of the kids, I'm 39 right now, but a lot of the kids that are like in middle school and high school now, the last time I saw them, they're like toddlers and like, like they're like under the age of 5. And now some of them are like in high school and in middle school. I don't even know I had to ask who's that kid? Who's that kid? Who are those kids, right? And that time I've just been dwelling on that today, thinking about that today. I'm like, wow, like I'm so grateful to have seen family that I've not seen. And it just reminded me that I must prioritize family now, not just when I get married and I start having children of my own, but I have to prioritize making the time and putting in the effort to keep those close connections and develop, in many cases, develop and reestablish these connections with family. If I say that I value family, which I do, then I have to do my part in establishing those and maintaining those connections and those ties, no matter where I am in the world. And thank God I have the opportunity with technology and stuff like that. But I remember thinking, time flies by so fast. And if I'm not careful, another 10 years will fly by. And, what would I have accomplished in my life? What have I accomplished since 2014? Am I pleased with what I've been able to do in the past 10 years? Have I achieved anywhere near where I wanted to be, today? When I was thinking back in 2014 when I was still in grad school, the life that I'm living today, is it what I envisioned when I was back in 2014? No way, nowhere close. The reason why, one of the biggest reasons why, is because I was not actively taking ownership of the life that I truly want and doing the work that is necessary. I had big visions and I had big dreams, but I wasn't willing to fail. I was too afraid to fail. I was too afraid to really put myself out there, because what if I failed? Well, then, I tied my self worth into these goals that I had. And so I was like, man, if I really put myself out there and aim for this goal and I fail to achieve it, then I'm gonna really feel like I'm a piece of crap and like I'm worthless because I didn't achieve what I really want to achieve in life. That's part of the game. Like, if you want to win, you got to be willing to take the L's. You got to be willing to take the setbacks and face the obstacles. That's what it is in life, no matter what the goals are. And so, what am I going on about right now? Well, one of the things I've been talking about, especially the past weekend with a lot of different family members, it was just a matter of conversation, natural course of conversation. People started bringing up within the family. Again, we haven't seen each other for so long. So I'm starting to say, I had these conversations with aunties, with uncles, with cousins. You know what I mean? Like, one of the things that kept coming up with, like, it was a common theme that was like, ringing in my ears, was people talking about their health concerns and people just saying, yeah, man, I really need to take my health seriously. I want to try to really like prioritize that. And I'm on that same train right now because I chose three separate priorities that I'm going to focus on for the next decade, and it's health and fitness, it's career and finance, and it's marriage and family. There's two categories like health and fitness, but I see them as one thing. Same thing, two categories, career and finance. They're the same. They're two in one. They're the same thing. Marriage and family. They're two different categories, but they're the same thing. Um, And so just hearing from a lot of my family members about them wanting to take their health seriously and trying to make the necessary changes in their lives so they can be healthier and live a better life and more fulfilling life. Ultimately, that's the aim of the educational platform that I'm building. I want people to develop these fundamental, what I call the fundamental life skills to navigate life successfully in the modern world so that we can live more meaningful and fulfilling lives. We can truly live lives of purpose. We can find and realize the purposes that we have in this life. And believe me, there's going to be much more to be said about this that I'll be talking about in great length over and over and over again and just beating the drum on this. So I feel very deeply about this. Why? Because I've had so many conversations with people over the past couple of years. It's insane how many conversations I have with people, and most people that I have these conversations with, and I'm talking about like thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people. Most people are not living a life that they feel fulfilled with. They're not. The lives that they're living is not meaningful. It's not fulfilling. And that's part of what drove me for many years to trying to find meaning, trying to find purpose. What are we here for? Are we here to just try to make as much money as possible and then buy as many things as possible? I mean, if you're an American, that's kind of what that the mentality is, the consumerism, like selling us on the American dream. Yeah, you got to work hard, you got to get a degree, then you get a job, and then you buy a house, and then you buy cars, and then start the whole cycle over again. And then you're 65, then you retire, then you can travel, and then you die. Is that the whole meaning of life? Like, is that what we're really here for? And if it is, okay. But like, how do I know that that's what it is? And if it's not, then what is? What is the meaning? Why are we here? So those questions really drove me for many years, for nearly 30 years. Those questions drove me. Now, that, like I mentioned, my top three priorities of health and fitness, career, finance, marriage, and family. I'm starting with the two that I'm really focusing on right now is health and fitness, career, and finance. And and I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, okay, it's interesting. This family reunion so far, I'm talking to a lot of different people, reconnecting after so many years, and quite a few of them, just they were the ones that brought it up. Like, yeah, this and that. Oh, I really want to focus on my health and improve my health. I'm like, oh man, I'm on the same boat. And so I thought, well, what's one of the ways that I can help people right now? Like, well, why don't I? That same concept that I had in 2014 in grad school regarding sharing your journey, documenting your journey in real time from the beginning, not when you've arrived, not when I've arrived on a mountaintop of, conquering the peaks of, being a very successful serial entrepreneur and businessman, investor, and then looking back on that. No, documenting right now, in the beginning, where I'm starting. Right now, to date, I have $0 made, with in regards to my educational platform business, idea. It's right now, it's a vision for an idea that's quickly becoming a reality. By the way, I've had this idea for many years, but I put it down about 4 years ago when I moved to Arizona, and I kind of put it on a back burner. I said, I'll come back to this educational platform idea for a business at a later time. And I think it was for a reason because I wasn't ready yet. I was not ready to really execute and move forward with confidence, with courage, but with confidence, knowing that I will find a way. I will figure it out. I must build. This is something that I must build. The world needs this. I need this, but I also know the world needs this. If I need this, I know the world needs this. So now I'm stepping into building that. But just as I'm going to document my journey and share openly what I'm learning about business and how to start a business so that anybody who's interested in starting a business of their own, they can learn too. They'll be able to pick up, little nuggets of truth and wisdom and knowledge and, jewels that they can add to their own journey. But just as I'm going to be doing that publicly and sharing, my entrepreneurial journey, my career journey, I thought, well, why don't I do the same thing for my health and fitness journey? Why don't I share openly about my health and fitness? Because even if you don't want to be an entrepreneur, that's fine. I don't think everybody needs to. I do think people need to learn how to develop multiple streams of income and be more entrepreneurial, but I don't think everybody needs to be an entrepreneur. But everybody needs health. Health is wealth. Doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, how young you are, how rich you are, or how poor you are, how educated or uneducated you are, no matter where you are in the world, you need to have good health. Like whatever goals you want in life, you need to have good health. And when things start going wrong with your health, it's very hard to focus on living, all the other things that you have in life that you care about. And so after talking just to enough, a handful of my different family members over the past week, and it was enough to convince me to say, hey, you know what? If you have the courage to start sharing openly to hopefully inspire other people to take action towards pursuing their own dreams and goals and visions in life regarding their career and financial stuff, why don't you have the same courage to share openly about your own health and fitness journey, and with the hopes of inspiring people that want to make improvements in that arena as well? So I was like, okay, that's cool. I'm going to do that. But I was thinking about this Saturday night. I had this idea. And one of the things I'm learning to do is when I have an idea and I think, that might be a good idea, I don't just keep thinking, oh, that's a good idea for a couple of weeks or just like, no, that's a good idea. I'm going to do it. Like I'm going to execute and test it. If it doesn't work, oh, well, it didn't work, but I'm going to test it. The idea that I had on Saturday night when I was falling asleep was like, well, what's one thing that I can do to really put myself on a hook? I'm already bought in. I'm already fully committed to completely transforming my health and fitness. Like when I mean, like I already have, I'm bought in and fully committed. I have a 10-year vision. I've visualized 10 years out from now when I'm 49 years old. 10 years from today, if I'm 49 years old, I've already have massive goals that I'm already looking at aiming at and achieving within the next 10-year horizon. These goals, most people would think I'm freaking delusional and crazy. I don't care. I don't care if they inspire you or if you think it's possible or not. Like I think it's possible, and I think it inspires me. Like I find them inspiring. That's why I've set these goals for myself. And so I thought, well, why don't I share openly what I'm doing with my own health and fitness journey, along with my entrepreneurial journey, and hopefully it'll inspire anybody. And if it doesn't inspire anybody, that's fine too. Or at least I have a public record, a little time capsule where I can look back on a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I'm like, dang, I remember when I was making those videos. Look at where I began. Look at my progress and how much I've made. So anyways, one of the things that I was thinking about on Saturday night, right before I fell asleep, was like, all right, I'm going to, for anybody who's watching this, playback, whenever you're watching this, like I thought that this is for you. It's for me too, because it keeps me on the hook. Like I said, I'm already fully bought in. I have a vision and goals that I want to accomplish regarding both health and fitness, because I believe they're directly related. But over the next 10 years, I have 10-year goals, 5-year goals, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, 12 months, 6 months, even a month from now, 3 months from now. And these are all, that's how we achieve goals. You start with the end in mind, pick an end date. For me, it's 10 years. Okay, 10-year horizon. What do I want to accomplish health and fitness wise over the next 10 years? What does that look like? What are the big major milestones that I want to achieve regarding my health and fitness goals in between now and then? And so I had the end state in mind where I want to achieve, where do I want to be 10 years from now when I'm 49 years old? How do I want to close out my 40s? What do I want to have achieved when I look back? If I'm 49 years old and I did achieve some crazy, monumental, outrageously huge, seemingly and humanly impossible goals over the next 10 years, what did I actually achieve? What did it look like? If I can actually achieve these big ones, and I can dream so big, and I don't care what if people think, oh, that's impossible, or why would you set your goals that high? I don't care. I'm done living scared and living fearful. So I've set some big goals. Before I do this one last thing, which ties into what I thought about on Saturday night, I'll share some of these goals so you are inspired to dream up your own big goals. Again, my goals are not going to be what drives other people. These goals are what drive me. These are the goals that drive me to remain focused for the long haul. Because this is not just a get quick and then fall off the wagon kind of thing. I'm tired of doing that too. I've yo-yo dieted like many people. Last summer when I was in Houston, I was there for about 6 months. I lost about 80 pounds. And then I packed it all on again. Why? Why did I do that? There's something going on mentally with my mindset. And I've found out, oh yeah, there is. Subconsciously, there's some things that I needed to deal with and reprogram my subconscious mind so that this pattern, behavior pattern of kind of doing things half in, half out, half in, go make progress, fall off, make progress. It just is no more. I don't do that anymore. That's not how I live my life. So, anyways, the goals, and I'm saying this publicly now. For one, is it's for me. It's documentation. It's for me to have a reference point of like, yep, I remember when I set those goals, where I committed to it. I'm committing it to paper as well, but I'm also committing right now. I commit it verbally often all the times when I'm visualizing, so I can hear it myself. My subconscious mind can hear it and pick up on it. But then I'm also documenting it right now for my own purposes. And then again, I decided, you know what? I'm not going to wait until I have like the perfect camera and the video editing skills so I can make nice videos. And then I'll, it'll be cool. Like I'm not going to wait. Like I'm not, it'll take so long to develop all that stuff. Why would I do that when I can just turn on my computer, hit record, and be done with it? Say what I got to say, just go with a stream of consciousness. And also, it'll be good documentation. And I'm documenting this because, again, hopefully, even if just one person a year from now, years from now, if nobody gets it, but maybe a year from now or a couple years from now, somebody watches it and was like, I'm inspired to take action now because this dude was willing to set massive goals that most people would say is freaking insane. What I mean? And like totally unrealistic, totally like seems delusional. I don't care. Maybe it is delusional. Maybe it is silly. Maybe it is a fool's errand. I don't care. But for me, I know it's going to drive me. This is the thing that it inspires me now, and this inspires me to take consistent action. So what am I talking about? Okay, 10-year goals. 10-year goals from now, within the next 10 years, I will have competed in 2 Summer Olympics. That seems crazy right now, but that's literally one of the the goals that I'm setting on a 10-year horizon. I will compete in the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles, California. I will compete in the 2032 Summer Olympics in Brisbane, Australia. Those are 2 massive goals within the next 10 years. I will also compete in and complete 2 Ironmans, the Hawaii Ironman for sure, and then the Tempe, Arizona Ironman. So within the next 10 years, complete 2 Ironmans, Arizona and Hawaii. Compete in and complete in 2 Summer Olympics, 2028 Los Angeles, 2032 Brisbane, Australia. And compete in a sport that I've never even competed in before. I am so out of shape right now. It is not even funny. 2 weeks ago, I was weighing almost 300 pounds again. I was at 294. So when I talk about the importance of having a vision, a powerful, clear, and compelling vision that drives you, it doesn't matter if it drives anybody else, it has to drive you. This is a vision that drives me. Setting that goal of competing in 2 Summer Olympics, completing 2 Ironman competitions. It's not going to drive most people. It drives me. And it's enough for me to stay in the game and to stay focused. Ultimately, the aim is to achieve higher levels, to consistently achieve higher levels of optimal metabolic health, to be metabolically healthy, because most people in the West, in America, in the West, myself included, am metabolically unhealthy. I just heard that term last year when I was in Houston for almost 6 months, really doing a deep dive on what is the proper way for human beings to eat. I've discovered that it's actually the carnivore diet. Most people are going to think that's crazy. Most people would think that's insane because of what we've been taught all our lives. With the nutritional guidelines is, plant-based and meat is bad and cholesterol is bad and eating fat is bad and sugar is okay. Like, actually, no, sugar is a freaking poison. It is the most commonly widespread accepted and approved, like culturally accepted and approved drug. I said it. Yeah, that's sugar. That's my views on sugar. And processed foods, seed oils, those are garbage. That's what's leading to chronic diseases and illnesses. That's why, like, so many people here in America and the West in general have what they call Western diseases that are not common in other cultures around the world that don't eat the garbage that we eat so commonly here in the West, here in the US especially. So me right now, I weighed in this morning. Things like I'm going to weigh in again here shortly. Um, but there's nothing that when I set these goals right now of competing in 2 Summer Olympics within the next decade and competing and completing in 2 Ironmans within the next decade, there's nothing that there's no as of this moment. You'll see shortly because I'm about to take my shirt off and show you where I'm starting. It's a legit thing. Like, so I'm not like, oh yeah, I was unhealthy, and people are like, no, you weren't. You're probably just, kind of like bulk. No, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you here shortly that I got a freaking massive gut. And I'll step on the scale and show you. But the thing is, like, when I set those goals, there's no tangible proof right now that I would be in my right mind to even set any of these goals. Why would I think that I can do this? That's insane, especially because I got medically discharged from the Army nearly 2 decades ago from chronic lower back pain, and they couldn't find out what the problem was. They wanted to cut open my back and do back surgery on me, and literally said, "I don't know what the doc said. I don't know what's wrong with you. Like, clearly there's something wrong. We just can't figure out what it is. One of the options we can do is we can give you back surgery." I said, "Well, what's wrong with my back?" He's like, "I don't know, but we'll cut it open. We'll poke around." Literally said those words. We'll poke around and see if we can figure something out. Figure out what the cause of your back problems are. I was like, that sounds like a bad idea. It sounds also how people wake up paralyzed or they never wake up again at all. So no, I don't want to get back surgery. So, but the doctor told me back then, the Army doc said, "Yeah, man, your back is just going to be like this for the rest of your life." And I accepted that. Because he was a doctor, I thought, oh, well, he knows better than I do. So I guess there's nothing else I could ever do to improve my health and improve my back again. I just always got to hobble around through life. I can never be healthy again. I can never be fit again. I can definitely never be an athlete. I can definitely never go and compete in Summer Olympics and the Ironman competitions because some doctor back then 20 years ago told me that, yeah, there's nothing you can ever do. I accepted that. Well, I don't accept these things right now. I refuse to accept stuff. So at face value. So anyways, there's no tangible evidence right now. I'm not ripped. I'm not fit. I'm not athletic. I'm still huffing and puffing when I just go for a walk around the block. You know what I mean? I'm still kind of a little huffing and puffing when I'm walking upstairs. It's like, man, okay, it's humbling, but I got a lot of work to do, but I get to do it. I'm excited to do the work. And I've already begun. Today is day 1 of my carnivore challenge. And I just basically eat carnivore. I'll talk about more of that later. I'll also, one more goal before I go to the next thing and take my shirt off. But another goal, a near-term goal that I have is in less than 1 year. So by September 1st, 2025, I will compete in my first all-natural bodybuilding competition. Again, there is no evidence right now, as you will see. In fact, I will show you. There is no evidence right now that proves or that should look at that gut. There's no evidence right now, and there's no good reason why I should be setting a goal to compete in bodybuilding in less than a year from now. I don't care. I'm still setting a goal, and I'm still going to fulfill that goal. Whether I still look like this or whether I look, definitely not going to look like that in a year, but at least that helps give me a vision and gives me what's possible. By the way, I don't want to look like Arnold. That's too big. I'm looking to build an athletic physique. But anyways, this part of way, by the way, this is a vision or the idea that I had 2 nights ago when I was thinking about all this stuff about what's the best way that I can help people. And I've been having conversations, like I mentioned, with a lot of different family and friends, even throughout the past, couple of weeks that I've been here, talking about how they were just telling me about how they want to improve their health and all that stuff. And I'm like, man, I've been thinking about that too. So I thought, well, let me take that same concept of me wanting to help people to start their business by documenting my journey about building a business, and I'll just build it publicly. Why don't I apply the same concept for building my own health and fitness? So anyways, wanted to do this, take my shirt off to show as proof that I am unhealthy right now. That's where I'm starting off with. Got a big gut right here. And why am I doing this? Is it for shock value? Not really. It's more for proof of concept. You know what I mean? Like, I'm starting like this. I'm willing to show, I've got the courage to at least show you where I'm starting with, because I know this is not where I'm going to remain. I'm not going to be this big even a week from now. A week from now, I'll be slimming down. 2 weeks from now, a month from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 12 months from now, and then beyond. So this is going to be the biggest I'm ever going to be ever again in my life, because I refuse to live in this manner, to continue living the way that I've been living for far too long. So anyways, I'm going to take some measurements right now, and then I'll just write them out just so I have them. Actually track also on, and I'll be tracking a lot more consistently on an application on my iPhone called Chronometer, which most people are familiar with. But I figured, you know what, I'm going to be taking my shirt off in competition in less than a year from now at a bodybuilding competition. So if I'm not comfortable with, if I don't get comfortable taking my shirt off now, then why would I get on stage in less than a year from now to take my, my shirt off again and pose? So anyways, by the way, so let me, right around the belly, we're at 53 inches. That's big. 53 inches belly. By the way, last Monday, I did full workup on my lab works. I got blood work done. I took a complete urinalysis, and they tested, it was 9 different tests. I'll go over that in later streams. But anyways, I did that because it's establishing a baseline. Just how I'm like visually, this is a visual baseline. Like, you can tell, like, I look like I'm freaking 12 months pregnant, right? And so people are probably like, oh, my family and friends are probably like, bro, what are you doing? Why are you taking your shirt off? Hey, like, this is part of my vision. This is part of the way that I believe that I can actually help people. If I have the courage to actually show you where I'm starting, both with my health and fitness visually, then I'll show you my lab works. I was actually pleasantly surprised. In fact, I was shocked at some of my lab works of how, despite being morbidly obese right now, a lot of my other biomarkers and health markers are actually really good. I'm in optimal ranges in a lot of it. The main thing that is of concern, which is definitely a kick in the pants, like, hey, you got to take this serious now, it is a life and death, is my HbA1c. My HbA1c as of last Monday was 8.8. That's one of my really good friends, JD, who we met last Saturday for coffee, and we're actually discussing our labs together. And he's been in the habit of testing his blood regularly. But as soon as he saw my labs for my HbA1c, he's like, whoa. He's like, bro. He's like, that is, wow. He's like, that's really high. And he's like, dude, he's like, that you're definitely sitting on a cliff right now. So it's a good thing that you had the courage to go get the lab work done so that you can see it And then, like that's an extra kick. Like, do not take your health for granted. Anyways, biceps right now, 17.5 for my left bicep. Again, why am I doing this? It's to inspire through action. I've been having enough conversations with people over the past couple of days, the past couple of weeks and months in different states of people wanting to take their health seriously, their health and fitness seriously. And so, hey, if David Jeremiah, in its current condition where he's got a freaking belly and looks like he's freaking 12 months pregnant, can take off his shirt live, stream to a bunch of family and friends and even strangers, because this is going to be, out there for the whole world to see, which is my intent. I want the whole world to see, because I want to, again, inspire through action. Right bicep, about the same, 17 and a half. I could have, I don't think I need to show you, but just as proof for all the naysayers, like, no, you weren't that fat. No, bro. Yeah, I am that fat. 17.5 for my measurements here. And then one more time, just for the camera. And, you might want to think, if you're doing something too, if you're going to take your health seriously, which I hope you do, we're all going to be starting off in different places, right? All right. Right on 53. 53 right across the belly. So right here, just so we see. Wow. Right at about 53. Just so nobody says like, no, bro, you weren't that big. Nah, bro, I am that big right now. But of course, I'm going to never be this big again. I'm committed to my health. It's not about losing weight. It's about achieving metabolic health, great metabolic health, and constantly achieving higher levels of metabolic health and fitness. So around the neck is 19. So again, if David Jeremiah has the courage to take off his shirt in my current condition and shape and tell you, hey, this is what I'm committing to. I'm committing to achieving my health and fitness goals. And you've been thinking about, making some changes to your health and fitness too. Like, hey man, if this dude can do this, if he's willing to do this and be like bold enough to put himself out there, I think I can go and make changes on my own as well, and get on the path. It's your life. You get to live how you want. I encourage you to live the best life you can by addressing your health and fitness. Okay, right under the chest. Okay. 50 inches. And some people might be watching this, be like, bro, you're measuring yourself wrong. I'm doing my best. Y'all. But feel free, if I am measuring off and you do know this and you're more skilled in taking measurements, feel free to holler at your boy. Let me know. But yeah, 50. Chest is 50. By the way, one of the most important lessons that I've learned is in regards to goal achievement and attainment is always measure backwards. Meaning, if you set a big goal, like me, I just shared some of my biggest goals for my health and fitness category. If you think those are crazy, they are crazy. They seem freaking, especially when you look at me, like, bro, you're going to compete in 2 Summer Olympics over the next 10 years, and you're going to complete 2 Ironmans in the next 10 years, and you're going to compete. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be competing every single year as an all-natural bodybuilder. Eventually, I'm going to be within the next 2 to 3 years, I'll be competing in a men's physique category. Men's physique are the ones that have like the taper V's. They're the more the athletic build, like the beach body build. I'm not trying to look like big and bulky like Arnold. That's like the classic bodybuilder look. I'm not trying to do that. I've already been big my whole adult life. I'm done being big. So I'm trying to be very athletic, the athletic build, shredded, fit. Those guys are usually like around 170, 180 pounds. And again, it's just think like the guys you tend to see on the men's fitness magazines, the health and fitness magazines, the beach body magazines. That's the physique that I'm aiming for. It's not really for aesthetics, although that's a benefit. It's more of that's going to help me to perform optimally as a professional athlete. Before I forget, people might be thinking, "Oh, what sports are you planning on competing in the Olympics?" Modern pentathlon. I know, crazy, right? I've never competed in most of any of those events really, and I just learned about that sport earlier this year. um, because I used to be super athletic in high school or middle school and high school, but and I was supposed to go represent American Samoa in my freshman year of high school as a sprinter. You would have never guessed because especially since I'm up near 300. But anyways, 1 second. Waist is 48 and a half. 48 and a half. Boom. Modern pentathlon. It's actually a really, really cool sport, and the history behind it's pretty awesome. It's designed to measure these athletic events. It's modern pentathlon is 5 events. It's fencing, and it's épée fencing. There's 3 types of fencing sports, and épée is one of them, and that's the one that I'll be doing. Épée fencing. I think it's a 200-meter freestyle swim. It's a 2-mile laser run, meaning you're running 2 miles, but you have to shoot as well, shoot a pistol, like a laser pistol. In between the 2-mile runs, you're stopping periodically to take shots at a target. So it's the fencing, épée fencing. It is the 200-meter freestyle swim. It is the it's also the laser run, and what else is there? There's other ones. There's an obstacle course this year, or at the Olympics is going to be. It used to be like horseback, a horseback event. For the first time in 2028 Olympics coming up in Los Angeles, instead of doing the horse, a horseback riding like jumping, they substituted the horse for the first time. It's actually going to be an obstacle course. So pretty dope, like a Ninja Warrior obstacle course. So yeah, so you have to, in the modern pentathlon, you have to be able to sword fight, shoot a pistol, swim, run, and do an obstacle course. So that's 5 events, the pentathlon. So that's what I'm going to be competing in the 2028 Summer Olympics and the 2032 Summer Olympics. So Summer Olympics in Los Angeles, Summer Olympics in Australia, Brisbane, Australia. Those are the goals. Anyways, let me measure the thigh now. So right thigh, see, look at how big that is. See? So you may not be as big as me, or you may be even bigger than me. Doesn't matter. We all begin, we're all starting, we all have our journeys, right? So you just gotta, wherever you're starting, start with where you are and do your best. Set your goals, do your best, and get after it. My right thigh, 29 and a half. I was going to do my measurements earlier this morning, but I forgot because we had one more event for the family reunion. There was a family reunion breakfast to close everything out. And boom, man, look at that big old side profile. Yeesh. It's funny when I look back at it now because I'm like, bro, you let yourself go for so long. Come on, man. Don't beat yourself up. Also, if you're unhealthy, if you're out of shape, you don't like the way you look, you don't like the way you feel, don't beat yourself up because that's not helpful. All right. Learn to not take yourself seriously or too seriously. Learn to laugh at yourself a little bit in a healthy way. Don't bully yourself. I've done that for many years. Don't do that. It's not helpful. It doesn't help you to beating yourself up and driving yourself further into guilt and just like discouragement, despair. Even it's not helping you. It's not helping your cause. This doesn't help you to change things. Right. And in fact, that can make things worse. So right calf is 20 inches. If I had a camera right now, I'd zoom in to show that it's actually legit 20 inches. But you have to just take my word for it, okay? 20 inches, I'm not lying. I've got no reason to lie. I'm a fat dude right now, unhealthy, with my shirt off. So I got nothing to hide. Right calf, 20. There's one thing, I've been off of social media, by the way. I've learned over the past couple of years to value my anonymity. I enjoyed not being on the grid, not being seen and known. Like a lot of the family that I saw today, and I was catching up with a lot of them that I haven't seen in person in 10 years since our last family reunion in 2014. They're like, bro, I didn't even know you moved to Arizona. I moved to Arizona like 3.5 years ago, but it's because I stayed off the grid. I enjoyed learning to appreciate my anonymity and not being known and not being on people's radar. I just enjoyed it. I like my privacy. It's like, yeah, I just kind of like doing my own thing. But in doing that, I kind of became a recluse, and that started not to be a good thing. So like with much things in life, balance is key. So left thigh, 27. Again, I could be doing this wrong, but at least I'm in a ballpark. I'm glad I adjusted. Left thigh is 28. 28. I could be off a little bit. I'm doing my best, right? Left thigh is 28. Damn! Damn, bro. I encourage you, even if you are healthy, if you haven't done this already, as far as like taking your measurements, do it. Why not? All right. Left calf. You ready? Left calf is 20 inches on my left calf. Oh, wait. 19 and a half. Slightly smaller than my right calf. Left calf. 19 and a half. So as I was mentioning, even if you're healthy right now, that's great, right? But especially if you're unhealthy, you want to get as many data points as you can right now. If you're like me, for many years, I made a mistake of gauging if I'm healthy or not based on the numbers that I see on a scale. If I step on a scale and if my clothes, fit okay, then I'm like, I'm pretty healthy. That might be true, but it might not be. One of the best ways is like start getting more data points. Start taking your blood pressure. It's like $15-20 to get a blood pressure machine. Take your blood pressure and take it every single day, like at the same time, so you can gauge. That's another. So I step on a scale, and I'll step on here shortly so I can show you how big I am. If you haven't been convinced that I'm big already, which you'd have to be blind, to to not see that I'm pretty big and fat and morbidly obese right now. But if you're going to take your health seriously, which I really encourage you to do, and you're going to start your own health journey or continue on your health journey, that's great. But if not already, take a lot of data points so that you have a baseline. Because I was talking about always measuring backwards. It's great to have big goals, big visions for your life. You should do that. It's important because it helps to direct your efforts and energy. You know what you're aiming at. So once you set your big goal for where you want to be health and fitness wise, great. Get a baseline of where you are today, or whenever you're listening to this, if you're ever listening to this or watching this, get a baseline of where you are today, not just stepping on a scale, not just taking measurements. If you can, go get your blood work done. It's so simple enough. If you have a doctor, go tell your doctor that you want to get some lab work done. I recommend this book. I read this for the first time last summer when I was in Houston, and again this past early summer in June. Common Sense Labs. It's a really thin book, And it really explains you and demystifies, unless you're like a doctor or in the medical field, you're a nurse, or you're probably already aware what all these terms are. I don't. Like, I don't even know what the mml millimeters or whatever all that stuff is. Like, I did not pay attention to biology or chemistry. Um, and now, it shows, right? But you can actually, if your doctor doesn't order the labs, you can order your own labs on ownyourlabs.com or go to labcore.com. But Dr. Ken Berry, in his book, I'll plug it one more time. I don't have any affiliation with this. I just think it's helpful. This will help you to demystify what all the lab work means. It'll also show you, he'll also tell you what he recommends that you order, what kind of labs you should order. If you have a great doctor and you say, hey, I want all these labs, if they say no, and even if you push and they say no, they're not going to order from you, then you just go on the website to LabCore or ownyourlabs.com, and then you can order any labs that you want. And I was surprised how inexpensive a lot of these labs were. Like, I ordered a full panel, like 9 different tests, cost me like $200 out of pocket. To me, it's worth it. Why? Because I want to establish a baseline. I want to establish. I'm establishing a baseline right now by standing here. Visually, I have a visual baseline. I'm pretty fat. I'm pretty fat, morbidly obese, out of shape. I stand on a weight or stand on a scale. I establish another baseline. I check my blood pressure. That's another baseline. I check my resting heart rate. That's another baseline. I go get lab works done. Those are the best baselines. That establishes a real good baseline. Numbers are important, but I often, for people who are big, have struggled with weight most of their lives, stepping on a scale is one data point, but I think and it's an important number, but if you just focus on trying to move the number on the scale, you'll drive yourself freaking crazy. And in my opinion, long-term, it's not going to be sustainable because you'll be living as a slave to the scale. Numbers are important, like, because they're data points. They show you where you are in relation to your goal, right? If your goal is this, you'll always have a baseline. If you go get your lab work done, like I did, I got my lab work done for the first time in 4 years last Monday. And it took 5 days for me to get it on my online portal. And now I see all of my lab works. Like, I see full everything, all the blood, my urine that they tested. I have all the results right there. I see what's normal ranges, what's not in normal, and what's optimal. I was surprised that I wasn't optimal in a lot of the different categories. But when you have a baseline, like I said, even if you're healthy, but especially if you're not healthy and you're trying to make health improvements to your life, get some freaking blood work done so you know where you stand. It took me a lot of courage I was afraid to go get blood work done. It sounds crazy, but I was afraid because I was like, what if I see something I don't like? Well, good. Like, let that be a further wake-up call to, like, bro, take this seriously. Like, take your life seriously. Take your health seriously, right? But go and do the work of getting the inside scoop on what's going on internally in your body. It's simple enough to get the lab work done, and then that serves as your baseline. So as you're navigating towards whatever your health and fitness goal looks like, it'll look different than mine, right? Whatever's going to move the needle for you to stay consistent and to stay driven, you'll always have this baseline that you can compare it to, so that, when you come up against maybe times where you don't feel as motivated or as driven, or maybe you're not seeing as much progress as you'd like because you're fixating too much on where you want to be, the ideal, you just turn around and be like, oh, well, wait a second. I've been doing this now for 2 months. Let's see where I started. Holy crap. Like, my blood pressure improved, my resting heart rate improved. I even got recent lab works done. Everything's drastically improving. You know what I mean? So then you're like, oh, okay, I'm good to go. Right. So that's a benefit of getting your a baseline. Get multiple data points. Speaking of data points, I'm going to step on the scale. Again, I already stepped on a scale this morning. That's part of my daily habit in the morning. I just step on a scale because I use this. I use this right here, this scale. It's a Renpho, if you're Vietnamese. People that like pho know what I'm saying. Anyways, Amazon, I think I got this on Amazon like 2 years ago for like $25. If there's an app that comes with it, it's part of the purchase. For like 25, maybe $30. I don't know what's going for right now. But this thing tracks multiple things on your on your on the application. So you step on a scale, it gives you the number of what you weigh, but it's also tracking a bunch of other data points as well, like bone density, visceral fat, body fat, ton of other stuff. So in my opinion, it's another way, a very inexpensive, great investment, so you can get more data points to measure your progress. Again, you're just trying to figure out where you are and in relation to where you started, because you're measuring backwards against the baseline where you began, and then measuring up as far as where your progress is and how much progress you're making and how close in proximity you are to your goal. So, all right, I'm going to step on the scale. Okay. Oh, hold on. Okay. So let me check this real quick. I'm going to step on it one more time. Right now, what I'm looking at is my iPhone, because it tracks and measures everything. Sorry for the pause. I'm just trying to get this thing working properly. So I'm measuring myself right now, weighing myself into my app. Okay. I'm at 285 pounds right now, as of this very moment. And I'll show you right now. Okay. Let me try to see. I'm going to try to put up a little snapshot of what I was telling you about as far as what it measures. I like this because, like I said, it just gives you a quick indicator of other things that it's measuring for. Now, is this a perfect, precise tool? I don't know, to be quite honest. Is it helpful? I think so. I think it's helpful. Okay, cool. So this is what the application looks like. That comes from the scale. So you can see, boom, 285. That's my weight right now, my current weight. And then it checks all this other stuff. You can see my body fat. You can see all that stuff. All these numbers. Metabolically, I'm 46 years old. That's not good because I'm only 39 years old. But that's a good data point because that helps me to inform the things that I'm measuring for. And it's a part of the micro goals that's tied to the overall bigger goals. So my ultimate walk around weight is 175 pounds. That's where I want to walk around at. And then when I compete for bodybuilding, maybe I'll compete at maybe 170 or something like that. I don't know. But basically, I want to be walking around every day at about 175. But there's also these smaller goals that I want, the micro goals, the numbers that I'm aiming for in regards to biomarkers, where I want my blood work to be, my glucose, my HbA1c, of course, all the other things that the labs are measuring for to indicate metabolic health or unhealthy or healthy. So I'm going to be looking at all those numbers as well. Same thing when I'm stepping on the scale. I've got number goals for the visceral fat, the body fat that I want to be at. Body fat, I want to be walking around at around 10%. When I'm down to like 175, my walk around weight every day, and I'm just maintaining at that weight, I also want to be walking around at around 10% body fat. And then maybe when I'm competing for bodybuilding, I cut down to 8 or 9% body fat. Visceral fat, I want to be zero, like gone, no visceral fat anywhere in my body. But that's the benefit again of getting all a better inside look and picture internally of what's going on, so that it helps me to set better goals, to know what to aim at, so I can actually measure them. There's a book that I'm working through. It's by Michael Hyatt, Your Best Year Ever, and it's a phenomenal book, a great way to set goals for your life. Like he gives you an actual template and everything, but he uses the acronym of SMARTER goals. You want to set smarter goals. You want it to be a specific goal. You want it to be measurable. You want it to be achievable. You want it to be hold on, I have to get it. I got to figure out where it is. But anyways, it's not achievable. He uses actually a different word. It's kind of a different word. It was kind of clever, to be honest. Let me see where it is. I like his acronym for goal setting, because it helps you. Everybody knows, or most people know, if you've studied goal achievement, you know. You're genuinely. Hold on one second. So everybody knows the ancient or the older, like the famous model, goal setting model, is based off of the acronym SMART: specific, measurable, actionable, reasonable, and time bound. Where he had it slightly different was he created SMARTER goals, added an ER, but he put specific, measurable, actionable, risky, not reasonable, risky, meaning, these are going to be bigger goals, time bound, exciting, and relevant. So like I mentioned, for me, when it comes to my health and fitness health goals, I'm basing my goals not just on the scale that, the number scale. When you step on a scale, I think a lot of people tend to gauge their health goals based off of the number they see when they step on a scale. And that's okay. That's reasonable. Like, I didn't realize that that's not the best way to, to gauge your health, just based off of that one number on a scale. But until I learned more about health and fitness and what it means, and then finally deciding, like, and committing, like, hey, either you're going to do it or you're not. But if you don't, you know what the consequences are. But if you do it all the way. Do it how it must be done, and it can be done, and how I want it to be done. So I've set some big goals regarding my health, but it's all based off of numbers, not just the number on the scale, but it's the number from my labs. Going from an 8.8 HbA1c, which is horrible. That's not good at all. Like my buddy told me, dude, you're sitting on a cliff right now. And so, of course, I'm doing everything to like mitigate that and drop that down significantly in just a few months' time. I already have another scheduled test in November 13th. And so just in a little over about 2.5 months from now, less than 2.5 months, I think. Actually, it'll be about 2.5 months from the time I got my first blood work done a week ago, last week on August 26th, until November 13th, when I get my next set of labs done. It's going to be about, it'll be almost 3 months. It'll be about 2.5 months or so. But that's going to give me a good indication of the progress that I've made from now until then. So it's a good way to measure myself backwards in 2.5 months. When I get the full workup, okay, great. How did I do over the past 2.5 months? And how did I do from September 2nd, when I committed myself to completely changing everything, and transforming my health and fitness? How did I do? That's a benefit, again, of having a baseline. So I'm gonna put my shirt back on right now. But at least, like I said, if I've got the courage and the willingness to take my shirt off, which I was always afraid of taking my shirt off because I was so out of shape for so long. I was like, oh, when I get ripped, then I'll take my shirt off. But until then, I don't really need to take my shirt off. Thankfully, unless you're living in the islands or living next to the beach, most people are not walking around with their tops off, right? So, but I had that idea, like I said a couple nights ago when I was going to bed, because I thought, well, this is a way where I can actually help people, like just like, be willing to take my shirt off and show, like, here's the progress that I'm making so far. This is, or this is where I'm starting. But then I will start seeing the progress, the transforming in real time because I'm doing the work. I'm committing myself to doing the work. So, anyways, whether your goals are health and fitness goals, or whether your goals that you want to focus on are more entrepreneurial and career related, or maybe you want to focus more on relationships, with your marriage, or with your kids, like whatever area of life you want, or even spiritual life, um, do the work, like do the honest work, like truly commit yourself. Don't just kind of, think about it and like not really actually go do the honest hard work, rolling up your sleeves and getting to work and doing the actual research, doing the study, doing the application, because we only get this one life. When it's done, it's done. And nobody promises us tomorrow. We're not promised tomorrow. We think oftentimes, and that's the trap, a potential trap of living in a modern world where, we're so inundated with technology, with messaging from marketers and advertisers. I know how this works because I've studied business at a high level. So I understand when I see things going on wrong. I understand, especially since I've read the biographies and autobiographies, and a lot of these creators, these visionaries who created some of these products and services that we are the recipients of. And so I know what inspired them and how they design certain things and why they design certain things. But if you're going to make any kind of changes in your life, whether it's health related, spiritual related, career related, finance related, marriage, or family related, whatever areas of your life that you want to focus on making improvements on, like significant improvements. Mine right now is health and career, like finances, health and fitness, career and finances. Like those are the two major categories that I focus on. Marriage and family is for sure number three. That's my top three priorities that for the next decade I'm all in on, like prioritizing those. But for the next 3 to 6 months, I'd say 6 months, I'm just wholly focused on health and fitness, career and finance. Because if I can address those and achieve the goals that I'm setting out to accomplish within that time frame, within the next 3 to 6 months, the marriage, that'll work itself out. I'll find the right woman when I am myself am ready. But right now at this very moment, I'm not ready because there's so many things that I've neglected for so long that I need to actually address right now. These are a top priority. Health, number one, and then career, fit, and finances right there, right? So there's two things that I'm really pushing on right now. Yours is different, or it might be different. Maybe they're the same, maybe they're not. Maybe one of the same, maybe none of the same. Maybe yours are more of the spiritual nature, or maybe you're already married, or maybe you need to work on building relationship with your kids, or whatever, what have you. Or maybe you actually need some. It may sound crazy to some people, but it's legitimate. Maybe you're a workaholic, or maybe you're so driven with your work and your finances, and maybe even your health is good. You're so driven there, but like you have no balance. You need to actually start working on developing some hobbies so you don't burn out and die of in a heart attack in early death because you just worked yourself to death, literally. So maybe recreation and hobbies is something that you got to work on and focus on, and really, really be actively, channeling effort, energy, resources into building that part of your life up. So we all have different things that we really want to focus on. Love to hear what you're wanting to focus on. Feel free to shoot me a DM or something like that, or whatever. If you see me in person or in the comment sections, if there's something that you're working on right now. One of my good friends, he told me his is more of the spiritual that he's actually focusing on. I was like, I remember when I was like super focused on that too. That literally drove me for so long, like driving around and flying around the world trying to find answers. And I think for about 2 decades, that was what I was primarily driven by, was the spiritual quest, like trying to find truth. Is truth relative or is it subjective? Is there an ultimate absolute reality in truth, or is reality just subjective? Are we here for a reason? Is there somebody or some being that created us, that created everything, or are we here by just random chance? That drove me like for over 2 decades. that literally drove me around the world. I studied in the Holy Land. I've circled the globe. I lived in Thailand. I've studied different religions, different philosophies, all in search of basically spiritual answers in a quest to basically give me peace. I was restless for many decades. And so now that I've found the peace that I was looking for and searching for many, many years, for decades, now I can start really channeling my energy and effort first and foremost on my health and fitness and career and finance. And then, marriage and family will come later. I trust that when the time is right, I'll be able to shift focus and switch gears and focus on that. But like I said, you might be different. You have other areas of interest in your life that maybe you've been realizing, like, hey, you got to take this seriously. You got to take this seriously. You got to address this. You got to address this. Maybe it's your finances. Maybe it's your marriage. Maybe it's your kids. Whatever it is, spiritual life. Go do the work. Spend the necessary time. Invest yourself. Do the honest work. Go do the research, and go study. Start your quest. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there and start learning and growing. So, anyways, like I said, today's day one of my 101-day challenge. I was almost tempted not to do this today. I was going to say, oh, maybe about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, I was like, oh, maybe I'll just do it tomorrow, like on Tuesday. That's the famous last words of a person who never got anything done. It's procrastinating and be like, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. I'll just do it tomorrow. But the good thing is I already mentioned this to two different people, unrelated to, two completely different parties and areas, that I was going to take my shirt off, today, on a live stream. And live stream is and take my shirt off eventually and do, because of whatever. And so I was like, well, I don't want to be a liar and I want to be a man of my word. I said I was going to do it, even if I told them, and they would understand if, like, hey, man, I decided that I'll just do it a day later. It wasn't going to be a big deal because, it's Labor Day weekend. And it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, probably nobody's watching this and I don't care because it's like, I'm building this for myself, first and foremost, a documentation, a video capsule, a time capsule. But then later on, who knows who'll ever watch this stuff? Maybe nobody, maybe some people, maybe a few people, maybe who knows? But the most important thing is I said I was going to do this. And even if I didn't tell anybody, those two other guys, my buddy who's an entrepreneur, and then one of my cousin's husbands, I just told him last night because he mentioned, he's like, yeah, I want to get my health, I want to really start attacking my health and take my health seriously. But even if I never even mentioned anything to those guys, I told myself that I would do this today. So learning how to do that, learning to follow through with what I say I'm going to do. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. So be careful on, I'm telling myself this, be careful on what you say you're going to do, because you don't want to lie to yourself and you do not want to be a man that goes back on his word. You don't want that reputation with yourself. I'm talking to myself here, which may seem a little strange, but I tell myself, like, I'm getting it into my subconscious mind that I am not the person. I'm not the type of person that does not follow through on what I say I'm going to do. Doesn't matter how little it might seem or how big. Like, if I say I'm going to do something, if I tell myself I'm going to do it, then I'm going to do it. And especially if I tell other people, because then that's part of the first part is more the self-respect and what I believe to be true about myself. And if I say I'm going to do something and I tell myself, oh, I'm going to do this, and then I don't do it, I'm keeping track, and I know subconsciously, hey, man, you're what you say you're doing, what you tell yourself you're going to do and not following through on, like, there's a behavior, there's no behavioral congruence there. There's an incongruence in what you're saying you're going to tell yourself, what you're telling yourself you're going to do, and what you're doing. They're not adding up. So it's more of the self-respect thing where it's like, hey, man, my subconscious is always paying attention. So whatever I say I'm going to do and think and commit to, even if it's just mentally, do it, because the subconscious mind is always paying attention. It's always listening 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Even when I'm sleeping, the subconscious mind's always there, always picking up on things. So it's part of my active programming of my subconscious mind, is being careful what I say. And then when I say something or when I commit to doing something, do it. Secondly, when I say, especially if I say things outwardly to other people, friends, family, or even freaking strangers, especially now that I've taken off my top and showed you my jelly rolls. Uh, if I say I'm going to do something, then you freaking better do it, because if not, your character, my character is at stake. My character comes off to the world as this guy is not a man of his word. This is not a guy that does what he says he's going to do. He talks a big talk, but it doesn't do it. He doesn't follow through. He doesn't walk the walk. So no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing, no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're wanting to focus on, life is short. So I encourage you, I'll end it on this. I encourage you to take the time as much as possible. And you believe it, you have more time in a day than you think. If you don't think so, start figuring out how much actual time you spend on social media or on your phone or watching TV or entertaining yourself or scrolling on. Even they're like, oh, I'm not on social media. Okay, well, do you scroll on like Amazon and buy stuff? You know what I mean? Or you watch YouTube channels, the YouTube things, and or you watch movies or something like that. Like in the modern world, we might be surprised. It might hurt a little too when you realize the truth. Like, oh man, I waste a lot of time every day. But I encourage you to take the time early in the morning before you start your day, to start trying to carve out that time, or even late at night if you have to try to find the time to think deeply about the things that really matter to you, and figure out the things that have been keeping you up at night, or kind of on your mind, that man, maybe I need to spend more time. I think I need to really take my health seriously, or I think I really need to prioritize my marriage, or I think I really need to prioritize my kids, or I think I really, really need to prioritize the spiritual life. Like I've got all these questions about bigger questions about life, about meaning, about purpose, about God. Like maybe I should spend more time thinking about that, and really applying, not just thinking about it, but actually, okay, I need to actually do something about this. I'm going to go and pursue honest pursuit. Anyways, I'm going to be live at 5 for the rest of this week. It just helps me to be consistent in being in front of a camera again. This is not, I don't really like camera. I don't mind communicating. Standing in front of a sea of people on a stage talking, to me, I don't mind that. Being on camera though, that's a little bit more like, but to help me overcome that and to face, me pushing myself out of my comfort zone, and also a way for me to climb out of anonymity, even though I've been enjoying my privacy for the past couple of years and being relatively off the grid. It's a way for me to be consistent in pushing myself out of my comfort zone. So for the rest of this week until Friday, on Friday, I will still go live at 5. I will be giving updates on what I'm doing. I'll disclose way more as the days go on about what I'm doing with my whole business startup, with the educational platform. I still have a hand in real estate investing as well. I'm doing both simultaneously, which I know sounds crazy, but you'd be surprised what a human being can accomplish. You'd be very surprised if you learn how to really focus your attention, your energy, your effort, your resources, and your commitment. You would be surprised at how much you and I will be surprised how much we can actually accomplish in life, if we really want it, and we go about it in a way that's healthy. Because I don't believe, last note, I don't believe in achieving goals in one area by sacrificing everything else and burning everything else in the ground down to the ground. I don't believe in that. Like I don't believe in achieving your career goals, which is very common for men, especially entrepreneurial driven men like myself. Like I don't believe in achieving, building this big behemoth, business empire, if that's what you visualize and want, or achieving all this financial number, but then you burn your marriage to the ground. Your kids hate you. They don't want to talk to you. You're estranged from them. They don't want to have anything to do with you, or your health sucks. You die an early death because you didn't prioritize your health and fitness. I don't believe that that's success. I believe a successful, meaningful, and fulfilling life comes from learning how to make progress in the areas that really matter to you. And I think, in my opinion, it starts with the spiritual life. You have to answer the deeper questions of life. I don't think you need to do what I did. I spent over 20 years consumed with the spiritual questions. But now that I have the peace, I already have that on autopilot. That is the foundation of my whole life. Now I can focus everything on my health and fitness, career and finance, and then relationship and marriage will come later, or marriage and family will come later. But whatever you're looking at, whatever you're focusing on, whatever you feel has been coming to your mind again, that hey, I need to really address this. My encouragement to you is take the time to go and scratch the itch and do more than just scratch the itch, but like start taking time to actively pursue those things so you find the peace that you're looking for so that you can live a meaningful and fulfilling life. I'm David Jeremiah. This is my live at 5, and I will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. again. So hope you're all doing well. God bless you, and I'll talk to you all.